So I've just finished reading Good Strategy, Bad Strategy by Richard Rumelt, a really a great book in the realms of business strategy, which is a field that's often has a lot of positive new age thinking in it, where if you just think positively about the outcome, then you will find a solution to it. Richard Rumelt takes a very different path in this book. He looks at how you need to adopt a scientific inductive approach towards your strategy. He boils that strategy down to, at the end of the day, a successful business strategy is a hypothesis based on proprietary knowledge within the organization, and then leveraging that proprietary knowledge towards an issue at hand for the consumer. So he talks about the kernel of strategy, which is based on three aspects. So successful strategies deal primarily with the diagnosis. You have to diagnose the problem that the consumer is facing. You then have to adopt a set of policies about how you're going to address that problem. So once you've come up with the diagnosis, you need to look at the policy to go on a coherent policy to attack the problem at hand. And then the third step of strategy making is actions. You have to have a set of coherent actions that go along with the policies and attack the diagnosis to get there. That's the key to good strategy, bad strategy. Bad strategy is based on not even entertaining negative thoughts or looking at problems because you think they get in the way. He uses a really good analogy in this book where he talks about how you wouldn't want to get onto an aeroplane that hadn't been modeled or tested and simulated for crashes. Because it's only through failure and through testing and learning and adapting that we can adopt good strategies to tackle proper challenges that we face. There's a lot of stories that he uses throughout this book. And again, in another book that I've reviewed recently by the investor Peter Thiel, and he talks about in Zero to One rather, how most businesses, successful businesses, trade on secrets. And Rumelt is talking about this throughout this book. He says that big leaders who have that, they trade on insights. You need to gather an insight about your customers, about your industry, about the direction that it's going, and you have to leverage that insight with a set of policies and coherent actions to tackle that problem. He talks about how often this can come about due to the inertia and inefficiency of rivals. So Netflix was born out of understanding that customers, especially the way Netflix is in 2015, the digital Netflix, where they have content strategy to go along with their on-demand service. They realized that customers wanted to watch videos on demand. They weren't using DVDs. They didn't want to wait. They wanted that instant gratification. Well, because Blockbuster had so much capital invested in physical stores, they were very reluctant to get into the on-demand streaming business. And because Netflix moved there before them, they eventually killed Blockbusters because they realized that the challenge the customer was facing was different to what it had been 10 years before. So by adopting the scientific inductive reasoning to strategy, where you're constantly learning from your environment, taking back data, trying to gain insights in real time and cannibalizing your existing businesses, that's how you survive. You don't survive by putting a system in place and then using positive thought to constantly guide it forward. He talks about even Jack Welch, who was the renowned CEO of GE. When he first went in there, he said that he got rid of a lot of formal strategic planning. Well, what Rumelt says is that that's not entirely true, because Jack Welch said that before you can develop a strategy or go into a business, you need to define what the aha moment is, that insight, that secret that your business has within its given industry to leverage itself above competitors. That is the key to good business strategy. It's finding a secret to the diagnosis, which you can turn into policies and then actions. So it's a three-strung approach. That's the kernel of strategy. And a great example that he uses is how Sam Walton used that with Walmart. How he recognized that big markets such as Kmart weren't going into towns of 5,000 or less people because they didn't think it was profitable. Well, Sam Walton found out that insight, that secret, that yes, it was actually profitable and it could be done. And so he expanded into places where Kmart wouldn't. And by doing that, he had the advantage to go forward and take over America really with Walmart and Kmart and take over the competition because they had that insight about the diagnosis and leveraged it with a bias towards action. A really good business book to take a scientific approach towards your business strategy.